Hey there! I did a video talking about why I hate Alien 3, so I thought, why not change it up a bit and talk about a film that I love? And I thought, there's no better choice than to talk about the 1987 classic, RoboCop. Why do I love RoboCop? Let me count the ways. There's so many reasons why I love this movie. Um, I love the character. I love the look of RoboCop. I have an action figure of RoboCop. I've had this action figure since 1995 or 96 or 98 or definitely the late 90s. I've had this action figure since then. And this is a RoboCop 3 action figure. So and I remember my dad buying this for me at KB Toys and was on clearance. So, and this actually, he actually still talks. You just press the button. So, I always thought this was actually a pretty decent action figure for, and it was an action figure for RoboCop 3, which is a terrible film, which sometime in the future you'll see a video why I hate that movie. Uh, and which is interesting because that's the film that introduced me to RoboCop, my all-time favorite character. So that's another reason why I love RoboCop. RoboCop is my favorite character of all time. I'm representing RoboCop with my OCP Security Concepts hat. I'm representing RoboCop with my T-shirt. I have RoboCop on DVD. I have RoboCop on Blu-ray. I have RoboCop on VHS. I have a VHS box set right here. I mean, I pretty much have kept this set only because I'm a huge RoboCop fan. And get it out right here. RoboCop Trilogy VHS box set. I'm a big enough fan of the film, I got it on a trilogy box set on VHS. I have multiple different copies of it on Laserdisc. I actually have two copies of it on Laserdisc. And I even have a RoboCop Lite, which actually works. Which I have to find the plug-in. I have the plug-in right here. I don't know if... And I'll just show it to you. Sorry about that little interruption there. But I'm going to move the webcam around and I'm going to show you my light. And I also have a RoboCop 2 poster, but it's not up right now. It's in storage because I was putting up, my Predator 2 and Blob posters and so forth. But yeah, excuse me while I move my camera and I'll show you my RoboCop light that actually works. So here we have it. RoboCop. This is a light that was actually in a video store that I bought off eBay. And maybe it doesn't work anymore. It was working. There we go. I was like, holy shit. It took a while to get up to boot up, but yeah, I have a RoboCop light. I mean, how much more can I prove to you that I love this movie than this? I mean, how much more can I? I mean, I have a RoboCop light. Excuse me, my camera's I can't get it to go straight on my face. Excuse this gorilla camera work. But yeah, how can I not? I mean, seriously. RoboCop shirt, RoboCop light. Um, got it on DVD, got it on Laserdisc, got it on Blu-ray, got it on VHS. Got so many different copies of this film. But anyway, so yeah, I love the character. I love the performance by Peter Weller. I think it's one of the most underrated performances I think that's out there in film. I think he was robbed of an Oscar nomination. The Oscars are notorious for not giving Oscar nods for best acting to sci-fi or horror films, and I think that's bullshit. Because Peter Weller delivers a performance that underneath this heavy suit that made him sweat his balls off, man, he lost like 30 pounds shooting this movie, and he was half blind. He couldn't see, but he delivered an excellent, amazing performance with just the lower half of his face for the majority of the film. And he was able to show emotions just through his movements. He was able to show emotion just with and sadness and anger just through movements of his body and just through the lower half of his face, and it's a very excellent performance, and he makes it look easy. And in the film, you've seen other people try to be RoboCop and not even come close to being Peter Weller, and not even come close to duplicating the performance that he gave of showing this believable emotion of he became RoboCop, and it was believable that he what used to be this human that was turned into this Frankenstein mesh of flesh and steel. And when he takes his helmet off and you sees his reflection in the piece of glass and in the scene in the film, that's some great acting by Peter Weller. The scene where he goes into the his old home and he's looking around and he's having flashbacks to his old life as Murphy, that's some excellent acting, and it's a lot of mime work, which he actually trained with mimes in order to get it down because he thought that that would be a good way to get a lot of emotion out, and a lot of movement, and get the robotic movements down. So Pete Weller put a lot of effort into this role, and it definitely does show. And it's one of my favorite characters, and it's my favorite character, and it's also my favorite performance. One of my favorite performances. Um, I don't know if I'd say it's my favorite performance, but it's pretty close. Peter Weller's performance in RoboCop is one of my all-time favorite performances by an actor because it was really challenging. And if you think it's easy, look at all the other RoboCops that came after Peter Weller and could not come close to being as good as Weller. They came across as men in a suit, actors in the RoboCop suit. Peter Weller came across as RoboCop, and that's Joel Kinnaman when he said that his role wasn't going to be a bunch of chin action. He lied because you see his performance in the remake, it was chin action. He acted like a zombie. Weller had emotion behind him. He had this level. He had a spirit behind it, but he also effectively portrayed this zombie fied RoboCop, the RoboCop who, before his memories start resurfacing. But yeah, it's an amazing performance that I don't think gets enough credit. Now, so RoboCop the character is a character I love. I love Peter Weller. I really like the script by Ed Neumeyer, and it's a script that is I just think it's very clever. And you could see a lot of the feelings that I know that you could see a lot of the backstory, a little bit. You could see a lot of the influence, so to speak, that Judge Dredd had on this film. And Edward Neurmeyer and Michael Miner, they wanted to make a Judge Dredd film, but they weren't able to, so they decided to create their own Judge Dredd type character, and that became RoboCop. And you can see a lot of that in RoboCop, the ultra violence, even the look of RoboCop, kind of reminds you a little bit of Judge Dredd, and so it definitely does give you this Judge Dredd type feel. The future is a dystopia, but not nearly as clean and as futuristic looking as Judge Dredd, but it does look pretty dystopian. Um, and yeah, just a lot of this is very great, clever script with great bits of satire, the Newcomb commercials, the 6000 SUX, the media break segments, the idea of making it take place in Detroit was a brilliant idea because Detroit was pretty slummy then, and it's even slummier now. And Detroit actually did go bankrupt, so it's like the future really wasn't that far off for Detroit when it comes to the future of Detroit in RoboCop. And the film accurately predicted what would become corporate America. The film was mentioning corporate America in the script, just in a way, it's another way to be a little bit of a satire. The film was making fun of yuppie culture by making it so the yuppies take over the world, so to speak. What would happen if the yuppies took over America? And it was done tongue-in-cheek, and it was done in a way that was kind of laughable. But now it's scary because it actually has happened. The yuppies have taken over America. We are run by corporates. We are run by corporations. So this makes the film, I think, still very relevant because of that. And also it makes it kind of scary. It makes it terrifying because it accurately predicted this corporate America, this corporate world that we're living in, where we are everything that we do, every little thing that we do is in a way is influenced by these mega big corporations like Omni Consumer Products. We are in essence kind of ran by OCP. So that's a testament to the very clever script. Um, Great moments of action, great moments of intrigue, great characters, great one-liners. You have a film that not only has heroes that you root for, but you have villains that you root for. And how often does that happen? That's a pretty rare occurrence, folks. That's a pretty rare occurrence where you have a film where you have a hero in RoboCop or Nancy Allen's character Lewis or even Robert Doquee's character Sergeant Reed. You have these characters you really like to watch, these heroes, but then you have these villains that you also enjoy watching. Emil, played by I'm sure Paul McCrane. Uh, you have Ray Wise plays a character that's despicably evil, but Leon Nash. You have Ronnie Cox who plays Dick Jones, and this is a character actor who would never really played a lot of evil bad guys in a lot of his other films. But he plays the bad guy in this. And it changed. It was a career change for him. He went on playing a bunch of bad guys. He was the bad guy in Total Recall, another film directed by Paul Verhoeven. And so you have it's just I love the villains too, and I'll be remiss. You can't forget the man himself, Clarence Boddicker. This was a villain that you wanted to party with, you wanted to hang out with. You knew, yeah, it might end up being pretty dangerous, and you might get in trouble at the end, but you still wanted to party with Clarence Boddicker. I mean, can you fly, Bobby? Or bitches leave. I mean, that's just epic. I mean, he just says two words. He just says bitches leave and the bitches leave because he's that awesome. He's that badass. It's a very awesome character. My favorite character played by actor Kurtwood Smith. My favorite performance by him. It's one of my favorite performances on film when it comes to a villain. It's a villain that you love to hate. And that really helps the film too, because you have a villain you really love to hate, and you have a hero you root for and you want him to get revenge. And so then you are while watching this movie, you are equally engaged with both aspects of the plot. You're equally engaged with seeing what happens with the protagonist and what happens with the antagonist. And that's the testament of a great screenplay and a great film. So the film does a really great job with its story. I think it does a very underrated job of still putting in these human elements in with RoboCop and these emotions, but not overdoing them to the point where they just feel cliched or overdone. There's just enough of it that's powerful enough on its own, and it gets the point across without being in your face. And like the remake was, that was a lot of in your face type emotion, and it felt cliched and it felt hackened and it didn't feel real. Here in this movie, you just have that one scene. The one scene where RoboCop is going through his old home and getting flashbacks, and then he gets frustrated because he realizes that this was my life and it's gone and I'm dead and I'm this thing and all these emotions and all these feelings are going through Murphy's brain inside of this robotic body at this moment. And Weller's performance and the score by the score by Basil Polidorus, not Paul Verhoeven, but the direction by Paul Verhoeven is fantastic in this scene. And he's just going through all these emotions, these feelings, and it's and Peter Weller's performance, and just by the way he's walking, you can tell that there's emotion, there's this anger, this pent-up anger and frustration that's building up within him, within RoboCop. And then when the real estate thing starts talking, then he punches it. It just culminates. And that's just the culmination of this anger and this angst and this inner frustration that's been building inside of the spirit, inside of the soul of Alex Murphy, inside of this machine body. And that one scene just sells it. Um, Murphy's death, especially in the X-ray unrated version of the film, is one of the most brutal and one of the most shocking, one of the most appalling and emotionally jarring death scenes I've seen in a movie. He gets blown apart, and what you, just like Lewis, are there. You just have to sit and watch it. He gets his arm blown off, his hand blown off. He gets gun shot. He gets a pump full of shotgun shells, shotgun blasts. He um, he gets the top of his head blown off. It's a very, very brutal, very intense death scene that makes you feel for Murphy right from the beginning. And then he dies, and then he's brought back as this machine, as this one bad motherfucker. And then you go on to this journey. We're watching RoboCop get on patrol and shoot guys in the balls and mess up some guy who's trying to fuck around in the trying to rob a supermarket. And even the clever lines of dialogue there. When the guy first sees RoboCop, he's like, "Fuck me, fuck me, fuck me," and this is this is an excellent movie. I mean, they have a guy who used to be a mayor who's like, "I want money, I want a car," and he's holding hostage. He's got a hostage situation. Then RoboCop comes in, busts through the freaking wall, and grabs his ass and punches him out the window. I mean, and then after that, you have more satire where there's a nudist media break segment where they have RoboCop out of school telling kids to stay out of trouble. I mean, it's perfect. It's a really, really great film. A great story, great script, great bits of satire, great humor, great one-liners, great characters. Dick Jones is a great villain. Even the old man, played by Daniel O'Hara, Dan O'Harely, he's this personable, likable old guy. But like I said, like even Ronnie Cox said, he's a nice guy, but I'm gonna take over. The Ed 209, the whole scene in the unrated version, at least, when the Ed 209 guns down Kenny, is this absolute orgy of blood. And it's to the point that it's just a ridiculous excess, and it was done so for humor. And the MPA didn't get that, and so they cut it down. But in the unrated version on this DVD and a lot of the Blu-rays, you can see it, and the scene is all the more effective because Kenny's blown to shreds by the Ed 209, and blood's just spraying everywhere like a fountain. And there's more blood pouring out of poor Kenny than there is in any of us, than any human body known to existence. And it's just blood pumping like everywhere, and he's turned into hamburger meat. And then after that happens, you have a guy, one of the OCP employees, comes in and says, "Oh my God, get an ambulance! Call 911!" It's like, ambulance, better call the morgue, because this guy is toast. But yeah, see, that there's a lot of fun sense of humor like that. And there's just this ultra violence just adds a very memorable tone and edge to the film. You have the Ed 209 scene. You have the scene where Emil gets dumped with toxic waste and then he's melting. Great effects by Rob Bottin. And Boddicker's in the 6000 SUX and he's like, "Oh, holy shit!" And this just drives into him and just paste on the windshield. Um, just excellent. I mean, even the way that RoboCop takes out Boddicker, he takes him out with a data spike in the neck, takes it out, blood spurting out of his neck like just like a geyser. I mean, Can't have any. You couldn't think of a more epic way to kill off your bad guy than that. It's a knife in the neck. That's brutal. That's badass. That's satisfying, and it's bloody. It's great. It's gratifying. It's bloody great. It's bloody good. The film's a bloody good time. Um, yeah, the screenplay is excellent. Great characters, Ronnie Cox, Dick Jones, Dan O'Harely. You even have Bob Morton, played by Miguel Ferrer. I like his performance. Um, Peter Weller, both as Alex Murphy and then as RoboCop. Nancy Allen as Lewis, who played this tough, take no shit cop, and she was a female cop, and she was a Murphy's partner, and that was something unique for the film because not very often, even in 1987, did you see a lot of films where there was a female cop as a partner, and for our male lead. Maybe in Lethal Weapon 3 with Rene Russo, but before RoboCop, there weren't very many instances of a female cop or a female partner, so to speak. And the film actually brought light to that, and Nancy Allen did a great job. She was a believable badass. Um, but she also, of course, has definitely had her limitations because she was human. Um, but even, of course, Murphy even says after she's hurt and the last showdown in the junkyard, he says the line, "They'll fix you." And yeah, even the ending of the film, I love the ending of the movie. The ending of the movie is perfect. He, Dick Jones takes the old man hostage, and then old man fires him with because of the evidence that RoboCop supplied him. And then RoboCop says thank you, and then shoots Dick Jones out the window with his Auto 9. Which is another thing I love about the movie is the gun, is his gun. How often in a film do you remember and have a good memory about the gun used in the movie? I mean, how often does that happen? This is a memorable gun. I love the gun. How often does that happen in a film? That's another reason why this movie is so great. I even love the gun that he uses, and I love the way that he holsters it in this very clever way. I thought is his thigh opens up, and then he does the TJ Laser thing, and he spins his gun, and then puts it into his thigh, and it closes, and it was a pretty really awesome effect. And so yeah, he shoots Dick Jones out the window. Yeah, the effect is a little bit chintzy nowadays, but I can deal with it. And then this is just perfect. Old man talks to RoboCop. He's like, "Nice shooting, son. What's your name?" "Call me Murphy." And then he smirks. He's human again. He's regained at least every bit of humanity that he can get. And then the movie ends, and then you have the awesome score by Basil Poledouris. It's another thing that I love about the film. I love this score. This is one of my all-time favorite scores. I the scores playing in my head almost daily. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Bum bum. Bum 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 bum. Boom, 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 boom. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, I just love that score. And I even like the remix version, which is kind of what I was doing a version of that I used for my intro for Robo Month, which eventually someday I will finish that. Trust me. It's just there's a lot to do. There's the RoboCop the series, RoboCop Prime Directives, more RoboCop comics, more RoboCop video games, RoboCop Alpha Commando. Not really looking forward to watching that. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's still left to do for Robo Month, but or All Things RoboCop, which I call it now. the playlist now, but yeah, love the score by Basil Portadores. It just fits the film like a glove. It's heroic, but it's also tragic at the same time. It's an amazing score. It's a definitely an achievement. And the direction, Paul Verhoeven is an amazing. He's a great director. He knows how to direct action. He knows how to direct sci-fi. He knows how to give this gritty feel to his films, but also he knows how to have fun with it. And that's what I really love about Paul Verhoeven's movies. They're violent, they're gritty, they're bloody, they're action-packed, but they're also, they also have a sense of humor and they're fun. And there's a sense of levity to them that's very refreshing, and RoboCop is no exception. I'll buy that for $1. All that kind of stuff. It's a really, really fun, entertaining film. Many ways thanks to Paul Verhoeven and the approach that he gave to the film and how he directed it and everything. Um, I even like the effect. The effects I think are pretty good too. I think the effects are good. I love the effects. I love the suit. I love this suit. I love the design of this suit. I know this is the more blue RoboCop, but I don't mind this either. But of course, the gray RoboCop is the one I prefer the most by Rob Bottin, who did an unbelievable job with this suit, creating something out of the blue that looks literally like something that you could see manufactured in a Motor City uh, chop shop on a manufacturing line at Ford. You could totally see RoboCop. He is this big tank like like walking automobile. He looks like something that you could see come out of the factories in Detroit, and that was the whole point. It was actually a really clever idea to make RoboCop this big, bulky machine, uh, just a tank, a walking tank. I know some people don't like that. They prefer the new RoboCop, which I don't agree with because he's sleeker and he's more efficient. Just because he's sleeker doesn't mean he's more efficient because he breaks like he's brittle plastic. He lost his arm. His visor broke when he fell down 3 stories in the Omnicorp building. RoboCop falls off a skyscraper, RoboCop 2, and gets up and he has a couple scratches. See, I prefer the walking tank because, yeah, he may not be as fast as the new RoboCop, but he can take more damage and he can take more hits. And you can keep shooting at him, and then, like RoboCop 2, you can blow up his car. He'll come out foot first and gun your ass down. Think it over, creep. I mean, it is. You don't want to fuck with the original RoboCop. He's a walking tank. So, but yeah, I love the look of it. It's a really great look, really great design. Makeup effects by Rob Bottin are fantastic. As usual, he's a very, very talented makeup effects artist. I'm really glad he finally got his just due when he got the Oscar for best makeup effects for Total Recall, which he definitely did deserve for that film. And I even like the stop motion by the Ed 209 by Phil Tippett. I thought it was good. I mean, back in '87, stop motion is the best that you could do. There's a little bit of animatronics, but they were pretty limited in what to animate such a big thing. And also, it was a low budget, so it didn't have a lot of the budget that the other bigger movies had. It only had a budget of 13 million. And when you look at the movie, that's impressive. That's unbelievable. $13 million budget, folks. And Paul Verhoeven and company used every bit of it to its fullest in this film. And that's really great. It's a very impressive thing, in my opinion. So, yeah, I mean, maybe there's more reasons why I love RoboCop, but I think I've listed a good amount of them. I love the character, I love the premise, I love the idea. The idea of a man whose body is taken away from him, and he's put in the body of this machine, and then it asks these questions: what makes us human? And he regains his humanity, and the way that the film handles it is very well done and very unique. And it's not in your face, but it's still very effective. Um, I love the score by Basil Poledouris. I love the performances by the cast and crew. I love the hero and the villain. I love the action when it's there. It's very effective. Um, I love I I love the look of the movie. I love the future it creates. It's very plausible, and that is something that I do enjoy. But at the same time, I'm also it is kind of freaky and scary because of how accurately RoboCop predicted the future, uh, predicted now, the world that we're living in, and I like the idea of omni-consumer products. I like the performances by the cast, Peter Weller, Ronnie Cox, Nancy Allen, Robert Dupuis, Kurtwood Smith. Um, Even the editing is really good. The special effects are great for their time. Uh, I think it has great pacing. The movie goes by at a really quick pace. It's never boring. I love the satire elements. I love how those satire elements and those commercial parodies make the film feel like you're watching RoboCop on a television cable station in this future, and it just adds a whole new experience and a whole new feeling to this film. It's like you're watching TV from the future, and that's a really unique um, thing that the film has to offer. And yeah, there's just I probably I don't know if I forgot anything else, but there's just I love RoboCop. I love this movie. I have no problems with this film. I have no issues with it. Maybe some of the effects with Ronnie Cox at the end, but I don't have an issue with that either. That doesn't affect my enjoyment of the film. That doesn't affect my overall rating of the movie. It doesn't affect it one bit. RoboCop is definitely a film that I'll buy for $1. I'll buy for any price. I'll watch it anytime, and it will always be just as entertaining as it was the time before. I could watch this movie over and over again and never get tired of it. And that's a prime example of a film that you love. A movie that you can watch over and over and you just don't get tired of it. It's still entertaining and it's still exciting and it's still interesting each and every time you watch it. And yeah, RoboCop is classic. It's a film that we remembered for years to come. It's on the lists of most highly rated and most well-regarded sci-fi films of the 80s, and if not of all time, for a reason. And this is a film that will stand the test of time. It already has stood the test of time. The remake is a film that's in $5 bins at Walmart and forgotten about for good reason. The original is a film that's going to be cherished and respected and loved by millions of people, generations to come, generations from now, because it's a film that's that great. It's that well crafted. It's that well built. Um, it's a very sturdy, very hefty, very solid film, and it's an example of kind of a film that they don't really make movies like this anymore, and it's really too bad. Um, but either way, I will still have RoboCop. And if you haven't seen the film yet, you should check it out. It's in my opinion one of the best films of the 1980s and one of the best science fiction action films ever made. And yeah, it's an epic film. And yeah, I really don't know what else to say except I fucking love this movie. I love RoboCop. I love the character. I love everything about this movie. And I know I'm not the only one. So anyway, thank you for watching my video on why I love RoboCop. And stay tuned for more content. I'm going to do a video about why I love aliens soon. So that'd be pretty fun. And but anyway, thank you for watching. And thank you for your cooperation. See ya.